Alrighty, guys. Welcome to another group call on our Sundays. Love this time of the week. So good. Today we're talking about cadence. Guys, can I just see a show of hands? Who understands? Well, I think we all know what cadence is, but who understands roughly like what cadence, how cadence affects our cycling specifically? And what can you tell me about cadence?
How much your muscles are working, which is lower cadence.
Okay, so if we're sitting at lower cadence, it's using our muscles more. Okay, and then what does that mean if we've got a higher cadence?
More spinning, I guess, and less muscle. I don't know.
What other system, Kane? You can chime in here, Kane. I reckon you know the answer. What would be working more if we had a higher cadence? And Emiliana's right; the legs are spinning faster. What would be working higher?
I don't know, probably a higher heart rate, I guess, but usually less power if you're doing higher cadence. Which I was told is probably not good to have the highest cadence. Which is
I would disagree with that. Not necessarily. The higher cadence, it definitely means that our cardiovascular system, our heart rate is going to be working more than our legs, but it doesn't mean that our power is lower. Okay, and I would actually highly encourage us to get into a habit of riding with a higher cadence. Not all the time, which we'll get into this call, but as a general rule, like next question then, and anyone can chime in here. If I was to race, let's say I'm racing Ironman Bustleton, right? I've got like 5 hours locked in it with no hills or anything. What rough cadence would I expect to average for that ride? What would be the ideal sort of cadence?
75.
75 for Emiliano. Who else?
80 to 90.
80 to 90. Anyone else?
I was going to say like 86.
86? Specific? I like it. good guess. Liam Mosley, what do you reckon?
I find race cadence is a bit individual, but I would say around like the 80 to 85 range is probably where most people fall.
Yeah. Brad?
Yeah, I would have said 85 to 90.
Yep. Cool. Finn?
Yeah, same thing. I race at like close to 90. If I'm racing black course, like 87.
I find that so crazy. I can't. Like for me, 80 is like already so fast. Wow.
Emiliano, and this is the thing with beginner triathletes, man. I want you to know that literally
crazy.
2 years ago when I started doing this, I would have been in the exact boat as you. I would never ride really fast cadence. And I just assumed that was the way to ride. But I promise you, man, the faster you can get your legs spinning and get comfortable in that, the more you're going to be able to sustain for long periods of time. Why?
I'm literally doing 80 right now, and I feel like my legs is flying. Fuck.
Why is that? Why can we sustain a higher cadence longer? Who knows the answer to that question? It's an important one to know.
I feel like your muscles are working less training your muscles, or
okay. So if the muscles are working less, that's obviously good for our muscles. But then if vice versa, if we just said that the heart's working more, is that problematic if we're using more of our cardiovascular system?
I guess so.
Well, I would say your legs are probably a much bigger muscle than your heart, so that's going to use way more energy. So if they're producing way more force, you're going to burn out quicker rather than your heart.
Cool. Yeah, cool. So burning out quicker. So the cardiovascular system, our heart, can recover way quicker than our legs can, right? So if we keep fatiguing our legs more and more and more, then it becomes really hard to bring them back, especially if we're doing Ironman, right? Like if we're doing 70.3 or sprint distances, we can afford to burn them quicker and we'll get through. If we're doing Ironman and we just keep fatiguing the legs, let's say we're sitting at 65 cadence, it's so hard for them to recover quicker than our cardiovascular system. Think about like if you are riding up a hill, right? And our heart rate's just going through the roof up a hill. And then you get over the hill and then you go down for like 30 seconds. What's your heart rate doing and what's your breathing rate doing after that 30 seconds?
Yeah, it's going to drop a lot. You're going to.
It's virtually back to normal, right? Like you'll go up the hill, your heart rate's going through the roof. You get over the hill, you coast down in TT for 30 seconds, and you get to the bottom of the hill, and you're like, "Fuck, I'm sweet. I'm all good." I'm laughing, right? But if you just hammered up the hill and then, you spend that 30 seconds where you're spinning your legs a bit, your legs will still be like stinging, a little bit burning and stuff like that. And if we do that, if we compound that over time, that it's just detrimental late in the race, especially then because we've got a marathon to run after that, right? So that's why we want to race with a higher cadence, working our cardiovascular system more than fatiguing our legs. All right, cool. I hope that's cleared that up a little bit. Now I want to show you some data from Nelson's. Is Nelson gone? No, he's there. Sorry, we've had somebody drop off. I don't know who it is, but it's all moved around. I'm going to share my screen and show you some things from Nelson's last couple of rides. So the first one will be his FTP, where he didn't really understand about cadence. Then he did VO2s where we still hadn't had the conversation about cadence. And then the third time he asked me, he's like, oh, why are my legs, why is my heart rate not, getting into VO2 range and everything? And then we spoke about this. And now all of a sudden, the second set of VO2s is much better. So I'll share my screen, and you guys can ask me questions. If it's lagging or anything, can somebody just let me know, please?
Make sure you guys are all impressed, okay?
Right. So here's his FTP. Now we've got it selected here. Cadence sitting at 72. This is absolutely burning his legs, and you can see that his heart rate for a FTP test is only 154 beats per minute average, right? That's super low for this sort of a test. Now, to his credit, I think he's actually paced it relatively well. I think he's been slightly conservative, and as you can see, this last little bit, he's really spiking. He's up around 300 watts compared to his average of 230. So we would rather him see that power more squeeze consistently and sit maybe around 240 or 250 throughout the whole thing and not spike at the end. But all in all, I think if he had sat at sort of 85 to 90 cadence range, this number would have been much higher, I think closer to 250. And this number would have been much higher again, probably closer to 175 or something like that, okay? Just would have allowed his cardiovascular system to work more and his legs would not have fatigued. So yeah, that's the FTP test. And then similarly, when we look at his VO2s, so I've got the last 2-minute VO2 here selected. And you can see, again, his cadence is at 66. The 66, for anyone, a little bit of contrast here, is the range that I would do my strength sessions at, which is where I'm trying to build the strength in my muscles. That's where I really want the low cadence. And this is a VO2 set where we're not trying to do that, and he's doing it at 66. So this would have been extremely hard on his legs. And as you can see, his heart's only at 152, quite low. Then we had the chat. We spoke about this together. And then the next week, he goes to do his VO2s. And this is the last one again. And look at this. Cadence is at 88. Fucking bang. He's held the exact same power, right? 262, 263. But now his heart rate's working way more. Now you're probably thinking that's if same power, higher heart rate, is that actually really what we want? Well, for this session, it is. This session is designed to work his cardiovascular system. It's designed to get him working above his threshold so that it raises his ceiling, so that all the base work that we do outside of this is going to be faster, right? So this is way better for Nelson's VO2 session this time around. And it was really good to see that he's sort of taken it on board and then really picked up the cadence, okay? Any questions on that? No?
I like your work, Nelson. Yeah, it's good. You've improved it so much. And it's crazy how you're doing them sets at 66. That's
Bizarre.
That's crazy. That would absolutely destroy me in 10 minutes. I'd be holding on. So maybe you just got super strong legs.
No, it's just that I was thinking to myself, wow, these things are blowing up hard. And then now I know why.
No, this is where he gets you, Finn. This is where he's pretending he doesn't know what's going on. He's building strength, and then next week he's going to come out and just absolutely smoke you.
Yeah,
I wish it was that easy.
That's really good, Nelson. I think we need to perhaps maybe change the settings on your trainer, though. I'm not 100% certain that you'd be clocking 40 Ks per hour on this, but still, you never know. It's pretty good.
No, it's a busso core. It's a busso course. You know what I mean? So we're all good here with the tailwind.
With a tailwind, yeah. Definitely with a tailwind. Cool.
To be fair, on the trainer, it's not always a setting. Sometimes it's the course. I did a ride the other day. It was an hour and 35-minute aerobic ride, and it suggested one of the new maps, and it was 60 kilometers all downhill. So I'm watching it on the screen, and I'm going like 75 kilometers an hour, just cruise pedaling, and I'm like, there's something wrong here. I did like an hour and 20 minutes on the bike, and it was like 70 kilometers, and I was like, this is not right. So sometimes you got to check the course that it gives you.
Yeah, okay. I like that. It's 50 k's downhill. I need to do a race like that. That'd be sick. All right. So we've spoken a little bit about now doing these VO2s and trying to work the heart a little bit more. What scenario would we want to sit in a low cadence? Why would we want to ever train in a low cadence now? We spoke about it a little bit before, but give me it again.
Strengthening.
Yep. Good. The sole reason why we would want to train at a low cadence is to build strength in our muscles. Now, strength is essentially like we're trying to replicate going to the gym, but we're doing it out on the bike in our discipline, right? So we're building a lot of strength through our quads, our glutes, our hamstrings, our calves when we're sitting in a really low cadence. When we're sitting in this low cadence, I'm going to show you Jesse's workout in a moment. We want to be activating all of the muscles, right? So it's not just constantly stomping on the pedal, stomping on the pedal, stomping on the pedal. We're actually trying to stomp and pull, and keep it in like a smooth. It's definitely meant to be smooth, but you're trying to activate all of the muscles in there because we're trying to build strength in all parts of the muscles there. And it's quite, well, maybe not for Nelson because he's been doing this quite regularly, but it's super hard. And it's like you should be pedaling, being like, like fighting it almost. Like, oh, God, it should feel really uncomfortable, okay? But that's the reason why. And I'll show you Jesse's here. So Jesse's, oh no, this is Emiliano's FTP. We'll come back to that one in a minute. Hold on. So this is Jesse's, so you can see, bike strength threshold session. So this is where Jesse's done his FTP and he has his number for his FTP. And then now we're trying to hit that power, his threshold power, but at a very low cadence, which is going to build strength. So they're 5 by 5 minute intervals, and this is the fifth one. So his fifth one, you'll see that normally if we were sitting at threshold and doing 5 by 5s, his last effort's probably going to be slightly higher heart rate than this, although he's actually pushing probably above the range here. I might try and look at the second one. Hold on. Give me a look here. One second, guys. It's lagging a bit. Yeah, okay. So his heart rate is actually still, wow. Actually, 157 for a threshold effort is quite low, but you can see he's sitting at a 66 cadence, which is what we want, right? He wants to be working the leg muscles. And this is perfect. And I imagine that when he was doing this, it's like really, there's a lot of stinging going through his legs and he's like really, quite painful. But his heart rate, it's not like peaking up around like, above threshold or something, even though he's doing this for 5 minutes. So going back to the last one now, I had something else I wanted to share here. That was it. So his heart rate's still getting up to roughly where Nelson's was, right? I think yours was 160. So it's actually just slightly above yours and it's a threshold effort. But why would that be? Why would Jesse's be getting to 162 and Nelson's only at 160 yet he's pushing well above threshold?
No, that's trying to get that.
Sorry?
What's his cadence? Sorry, I didn't hear that last bit. What was his cadence?
His cadence is low, which is meant to make his heart rate not work as much. But there's an obvious answer here, which it's kind of like a trick question I've got for you here. But like how long were yours, Nelson? Your efforts?
40 minutes.
2 minutes.
Oh, sorry. The thing was, sorry. Yeah. The efforts were 2 minutes.
VO2s, and Jesse's are 5, right? So Jesse's working for a lot longer, 2.5 times the amount. His heart rate's going to keep climbing, whereas Nelson's is going to start when he's resting. His heart rate's going to start at like 115, right? And the first like 30 seconds of his 2-minute effort's going to be creeping up from 115 to 140. So his average heart rate's going to seem lower, but because Jesse's is 5 minutes, it climbs quickly over 30 or 40 seconds, and it's staying there for the next 4.5 minutes. So that's why his heart rate probably seems a little higher, although we would expect when he's sitting in a lower cadence that the cardiovascular system isn't working as much. And that's what we wanted here because we want to build his strength. Cool. Questions on Jesse's? No. Great. I'm going to quickly show you Emiliano's FTP from last week. Now, if anyone's ever doing work on the trainer, all right, and if your trainer locks you at the power like it does here, so it's just said, right, 255 is the watts, sit there, and the trainer produces it, it means that you've got erg mode turned on. Now, I think actually Emiliano had erg mode turned off, which at the start you can see here, it's got this purple line that's up and down. And that's what we want. We want erg mode off. We want to be controlling the power. We want to be changing gears. We want to be running the cadence ourselves. But I think there's a setting that he might have on that every interval that changes, it goes back to erg mode. Now, halfway through his FTP, he realized this because he wanted to push more power, but it was just stuck, right? It didn't matter how fast he spun his legs and how fast the cadence went, it was stuck. So then I think he pressed the button on the FTP test and it changed, and he did the second half where he controlled it. Now, if anyone's ever doing work on the trainer, guys, please make sure that your cadence and your power isn't locked on erg mode. I want you guys to be learning to control your power, okay? And therefore changing gears and managing cadence. If the workout says to do low cadence, and you can't do that when you're on the trainer and erg mode's on. I believe. I'm not an expert with trainers, but I don't want to see this if we're doing an FTP test. All right, I want you guys to be controlling the power. Cool. Last thing on these data before we move on is most of the workouts that I give you guys now will have some little activations, especially like the key workouts with VO2s or thresholds and stuff. And this is something that I've got from Trivello guys, and I've been honest about this with them. They're happy for me to sort of give you guys this as well. All these activation stuff, we want to do that at a really low cadence. So like 60 to 70 cadence. And that's going to fire all the muscles in our legs. All right. So if you're doing these at 90, it's not bad. It's not a terrible thing. But these 30-second activations, try and do them at a low cadence. If you're outside on a velodrome, get into the highest gear, grind through it for 30 seconds. It's going to get all the fast switch muscle fibers activated. And then you're going to be able to perform a little bit better when we do our thresholds or our intervals or our FTPs and things like that. It's all in the notes on the workouts that I'm giving you guys now. You'll probably notice, most of you, that the workouts are slightly different. I've revamped them a little bit. If you haven't seen those yet, then you will once your new program comes in. But yeah, do those at low cadence, all right? Cool.
Is there a magic heart rate
Stop
that you're
sharing.
trying to achieve? With those VO2 max sessions and stuff. Okay, just full noise. That's high. Yeah, but is there a figure that we can try and achieve, or is that just a zone related thing? How do I know, okay, 160s I'm screaming, but then I can do 170 in a run screaming?
Yeah, there's a fair few variables with heart rate. The first one I'd say is age, right? My heart rate and Lockie's heart rate, who's 19, and your heart rate, who's 30 plus, whatever. They're all going to be different for each of the intervals. The next thing that you need to think about is that if you're doing a 2-minute effort, well, your average heart rate for that 2-minute effort is going to be different to the average heart rate that if you do 60-second effort, right? Because heart rate is delayed. So it's not like you start working and then it's immediately where it needs to be. It takes a little bit of time for the heart rate to catch up. So it's not a magic, you're looking for this, but it is something that you look for trends over time. And I've spoken about this with Lockie a little bit. He's really switched on with trying to figure out, like, okay, is my heart rate too high for this session? Is it right? Is it wrong? So you should be looking at these each time and going, okay, what was it last week? Does this seem like it's higher? I mean, with VO2s, you're trying to work as hard as you can. You should be huffing and puffing by the end of it. And whatever the heart rate number comes out, that's okay. We just look at that for next week and see, is it above? Is it below? Were you fatigued? Things like that. Things like caffeine as well also change your heart rate. So it's really difficult to pinpoint exactly where your heart rate should be. All of these things are variables for it. But good question. All right. Anything else on cadence? Oh, actually, I do have one more. Let's talk about running cadence. And this is purely out of curiosity in my own eyes. I don't really have too many thoughts on this. So I'm super keen to hear what you guys think. I mean, I do have my thoughts, but it's probably not what everyone else would think in this call, I don't think. So just fire whatever you want to chat about with running cadence, if you have anything.
Well, first off, do you track running cadence or do you just go off feel?
I'm gonna let you talk, and then I'll give you my thoughts after. What do you think? Do you track running cadence?
I don't. I do what feels good, but if I'm injured or like have a sore, I will increase the cadence just to reduce that load. But otherwise, I run to feel.
Yeah, I've never looked at running cadence, which is probably not the best thing considering some of my runs I take off far too quickly. But I don't think I've ever looked at it once.
Well, going out too quickly and having a too high a cadence are two very, very different things. So we'll come back to that one in a minute, Kane. But Liam, what about you?
I don't really pay too much attention. Every now and then I'll check it if like a run felt sluggish and just making sure it's not crazy low. But
Cool.
I don't really put too much stock into. I think it just depends on your height and weight a lot of the time, to be honest.
Yep. Okay. Anyone else there? Or
Yeah, I think that from what I haven't looked too much into it, they reckon 180 is the magic number. Don't know how true it is, but I think it also comes back to how tall you are. If you're a bit shorter, you're going to take shorter steps. So I've always thought just run to feel what sort of feels right. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm super big on run to feel, guys. I read a book called Iron War, and they talk about running cadence a little bit, and they speak specifically about this guy who came into, like, I think it was the Olympics team or something, and he had this really weird running style, and everyone was just like, this guy's got no chance, but he just kept improving and kept getting better, and he started just beating everybody, and everyone was like trying to coach him to run with better technique and everything, and he was just beating them anyway with the way that he was running. The way I think about it is, like, if I speed the cadence up while I'm running, my stride length shortens drastically. And we just heard from Brad that 180 is that magic number. I looked at mine just recently because I knew this chat was coming, and I wanted to sort of see where I was sitting. My stride length's like 1.4 meters, which I don't know if anyone looks at their stride length, but it seems large, which is good. And my cadence is at 160. Now, I have had so many fucking messages from Instagram people saying, dude, your cadence is too low, man. Like, you'll run so much better if you speed up your cadence. But then I'm just like, my stride length would shorten 100%. And I mean, I'm running okay at the moment. I'm progressing really well. So my belief is that do what feels completely natural. And like Finn said, if you are fatigued or if you're sore, you'll naturally slow down or speed the cadence up to account for that, right? Your body will naturally do it, but pay attention to it. But I wouldn't overthink running cadence too much, guys. All right. I actually chatted with AI a little bit about this. I'm just going to see if there's anything else to touch on, because it was really interesting when I was having that call and it's the chat.
I think it can become a bit of a whole. Like, I've looked into it before as well, and you kind of start looking at vertical oscillation, and then you're jumping too high off each step and everything else, and ground contact time and whatnot. And there's so many, I guess, efficient ways of running, and I've tried it before, and it, like, I find when I up my cadence, my heart rate also goes up pretty high. Like, it just jumps through the roof. Obviously similar to the bike. But yeah, trying too much different stuff just kind of feels unnatural unless you train it. I've got a mate that I run with very often, and he looks into it lots, and he's kind of trained it, and he's getting a lot better at it, and seemingly he reckons he's getting more efficient, I guess, is the goal. But I don't know how worthy it is.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to put it on a list of importance in triathlon, it would be so far down. Like, there are so many other things that we need to be focusing on first, guys. Quickly, while we've got Lockie here, actually, I think it's a good question to ask. What about swimming cadence? Like, where does that fit into all this? Do we want to slow down our stroke if we're doing long open water stuff, mate, or do we want to, keep what feels cool?
Well, swimming cadence fully depends, I think, on how well you're catching. Like, if you're not catching any water or a very small amount of water, and you're really inefficient with your pull, then you'll need to have a higher cadence. Ideally, it's lower. I don't know if you guys have ever seen. Well, I'm sure you would have seen effortless swimming. I know Alex was talking about it today. Or just some general swimming clips online. Lots of them have really slow stroke rates and really long stretched out arms, like they're stretching out as far as possible. And that's because they're able to catch heaps of water out in front, and they're pulling so much through that they don't need to keep throwing the arm over and keep getting more and more and increasing the stroke rate, because it's just unnecessary. If they can get enough push through one stroke, then they don't need to do 2 or 3 more, if that makes sense. So ideally it's like lower. If you can keep the same pace and get your stroke rate down, then that's good, because you're more efficient and you're working less. But
yeah, well, it's funny. Like, I don't disagree with what you're saying at all. Like, I'm actually really on board. But in my head, when I hear you say this, I think, well, even if I'm doing less strokes, I have to push more water in each stroke, which means I'm doing the same amount of work anyway. But not like that. I don't actually think it. I don't actually agree with my own logic. It's just what my brain does. I'm like,
yeah. It also depends on like how long your stroke is. Like, I've had lots of issues where my arms just getting sore. So obviously, everyone, when you get fatigued, you get your technique lax. But just coming up short, like when I'm reaching out, and then when I'm pulling through, like towards my thigh, just coming out early and starting to pull early before I'm fully reached out. Obviously, your stroke is going to be less efficient, and you're going to be pulling less if you're doing that, because you're not actually getting as much. So,
yeah. On swimming, guys, I've just gone today to get a vids. It's called Vid Swim. It's like an analysis. They film me and everything, and then go through it all, which was really good. I would encourage all of you, depending on how serious you're taking triathlon and how many little wins and improvements you want to get, try to do something similar. Either get in touch with Brenton from Effortless Swimming. I believe he's got a really good rep, got a lot of experience, probably one of the best in the world to do this online with. Or if you can find someone in your local area that's like got some good reviews and things like that, to get in there and to help you just change your thought pattern around swimming. So just saying, this is probably where the biggest improvements will come from. And now I've got another whole month of swimming ahead of me where I just know about what it is that I've got to try and change. Now, this is day one. Like, I have no idea whether I'll actually, but I assume it's going to cost you like $100, $150 to go and get something like this done. And then it's just in your head, and you're thinking about it all the time. So I'm not an expert swimmer, guys. You guys know this. I schedule your swims, but it's nothing pretty. But I would highly recommend that if you get a chance. Now, again, same thing as I said before. On the priority list, it's not super high. Okay, it's like a little extra if you. You guys get what I'm saying. What was that?
Sorry,
Emiliano.
You're lagging a bit. Sorry.
Cute.
Meet the little ones.
I might get you to put your thing on mute though. There you go.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. My bad. It could be my Wi-Fi. Apologies. Hello, guys.
Yeah, it's only been like the last 2 minutes that you've been pausing a little bit.
See the fam. I love that. So on Cadence, we nearly. Okay, cool. Just always let me know, guys, if that's the case. because I can always jump on. All right. Is it still bad or is it okay?
Still bad. I would jump on. I would jump onto mobile if you can.
Doing it now.
It's like a hydration break while we wait for him.
I love it, Kane. A little water bottle break.
Oh, well, Finn, you can run the call now. Come on.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, you'll be
This is-
fine. Come on.
Alex
You've done.
I'm sure I can run it, but
Yeah, we'll be fine. Oh, he's back now.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's good. We were just I was just going to ship it out and make Finn run the call from when you were gone.
Wow. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm looking forward to the next month or so when I can just not have to plan one of these things and Vinny can take over for 1 week. That'll be nice. But he's got lots of learning to do before this. So, yeah, I'll keep running for now. All right, guys, we're almost done and I'm going to cut it short today by about 10 minutes or so just because I've got a dinner tonight. But last thing I wanted to touch on was planning. I think this is so underrated in Ironman training, or triathlon and specifically Ironman training, is like when we do a big brick session or, a long run and stuff like that, planning your stuff prior to the session is just so important. It's such a simple thing to do, but I would love to see all of you lads really being consistent with the long stuff, right, on the weekends. And when I got up on when I it was Friday before my big brick session, I was thinking, shit, it was like 8 p.m. I was like, oh, I've got a lot to plan here. It literally takes me about 40 minutes to get everything organized for my brick session the next day. It's a process, guys. Now, admittedly, I'm doing 6.5 hour sessions at the moment. You guys aren't, but it should still take you a good 10, 15, 20 minutes to get everything clear in your mind about what's going to happen tomorrow and then plan it all out, get everything laid out. So when you wake up in the morning or if you're doing it later in the day, it's just ready to go. All right. So what do we need to think about prior to a big session? Let's assume we're doing a 4-hour brick, right? 3-hour ride into an hour run. What do we need to think about on the Friday? What's the first thing we need to think about on the Friday?
Probably your fuel. So get like all your fuel set out for both. If you're doing like the ride, get that set out. Get the fuel for your run. If you're doing gels or anything, get them made up.
It's definitely one of the biggest things that you need to do. It's not the first thing that I do, but absolutely you need to be thinking about this. Yeah. And on that, a little side note is you should also be fueling already. So I spoke to a couple of people about this already. My Fridays, guys, are carb load days. If I'm doing 4-hour brick session the next day, you better believe I'm fucking eating on Friday. Like I'm smashing it. I'm getting so much food. Sorry if the kids are there, Emilio. Absolutely. Yeah, that's my bad. Yeah, I'm literally carb loading on Friday.
They speak Spanish and Serbian. They don't speak English yet, so it's hard.
Well, I'll definitely keep I've got a little bit of Spanish up there, a few naughty words, so I'll keep those under wrap. So yes, Kane, definitely planning fuel and definitely like eating lots. Don't be afraid of having a packet of lollies or some chocolate the night before or smash a packet of chips while you're watching something on TV on the Friday. That's all really good stuff if you're doing a big session the next day. There's the sourworms. That's my man. Yes, sir. And then, fueling Kane's brought up. What else? What do we need to think about? What's the first thing that you'd probably do? This is the first thing that I do. What was that?
Make sure you got some riding gear. Make sure your riding gear is clean.
Yep, good. Before that, we definitely need the right stuff. Liam?
Your bike is charged.
All of that, yep. Liam, what did you say?
I said the same thing. Put everything on charge.
Okay, yeah. The first thing, it's funny that we're all thinking different directions here, but the first thing that I do, guys, is this process of like, what do I have on tomorrow? And how long is this all going to take me, this session? And what time do I have to set my alarm, right? Now, admittedly, I train first thing in the morning. Some of you guys might not. But if you are training first thing in the morning, you need to figure out well before you go to bed, not the last thing you do before bed, when is my alarm tomorrow morning so that I know that I can get up and then I can start doing all my shit. And on top of that, you know when you got to get to bed, right? If I know that my alarm is at 5 tomorrow, normally it's at 6, but if it's at 5 because I got shit to do tomorrow, right, I've got to try and bring my bedtime a little bit sooner, which means I've got to start planning all my fuel and all my bride shit sooner, right? So getting the alarm, it's like a reverse process, right? You go, okay, it's going to take me this long. There's the alarm. Great. Now I know I've got to be in bed by this time. Right. Now I've got to start planning by this time. And you just start figuring it all out. Right. But that's what I do first is figure out when I got to be up. And I always allow like a good 10 to 15% on top of the brick. Why? Because I might take a little bit longer to wake up, or I might get stopped at a whole bunch of traffic lights, or I might have a puncture. So all these things are included in my time for the next day. So then I work all that out and then I go, okay, my alarm has to be at this so that I know that I've got enough time to go and get everything done. It's like when we were in Cairns, right? I didn't want to get up at 2:30 in the morning to go and do my long run, but I had to be back for Finn and go and see the whole start line process. So I go, okay, when do I go to bed? When do I have to wake up? 2:30, right? I need to be running by 3. So I need to get up and get going by 3 so I can be back in time to support him and get ready for the race. It's just the same process that I do every single time. And like this is, I mean, it's nothing to do with triathlon. It's just organization, boys. But I'm telling you, and I don't want you to sacrifice sleep. Like I don't want you to just get up at 3 in the morning to get everything done. That's not the goal. But you can plan better, I think, so that we can execute the next day well. Yeah. Is that fair? Yeah.
100% agree with that. If I don't plan something before the next day or a big long run, the next morning is just super chaotic. Like you got the stress of the big training session, then you're trying to sort everything out, and then you don't have everything, and it's like a
and then you
snowball.
Forget. Yeah, and it just makes it so much more unenjoyable. And like if I get everything right, boys, I did a 5.5 hour ride, and I absolutely loved it. I was just like out there. I had everything organized. I had no dramas. I was like, yeah, I've got all my fuel. I got all my water and stuff. I can just ride and not have to think about anything else. And then I come back. All my run stuff was set out. It's like, yep, change, good. Yeah, great. If I want to wash the bike after, I will. Otherwise, I'll just leave it, which I didn't. It's very dirty at the moment, but it's well organized, and I encourage you all to try to be as organized as you can, especially the long stuff. You can get away with the short stuff, definitely, but the long stuff you have to plan and prepare well in advance. And like Kane said as well, I do all my bottles the night before, so all my metric fuel is mixed up. Right, I don't even put it in the fridge anymore. I used to, but now it's just room temperature, but it's all in a bag so that I can carry the bag down to the shed where my bike is. It's all super organized. All I got to do is wake up, have my toast, have my coffee, put my shit on, and then I'm off. Really planned.
To be fair, I said you should do that the night before. I still do it in the morning because it takes me ages to wake up. So I will still get up well earlier. But then while I'm waking up, I'm doing all that shit. It's all planned. It's all there. But I'm like, I cannot get straight onto a bike after 15 minutes after waking up, or I'll run in front of another car or something.
You don't have to do 15 minutes. Like, don't get me wrong. When I get up, I'm having my toast, I'm having my coffee, and I'm not in a rush. But I've planned the time in the morning, right? The thing is, when you're up, if you get up and you've got all of these things to do before you leave and you're tired, and you said to me just then, like, I struggle to wake up and I'm slow in the mornings, man, you don't want to be doing any of that shit. Like, do it all when you're awake and you're up and doing. And then in the morning, you can relax. You can sit down. You can have your coffee. You can just do whatever. You can wait until the coffee goes through your system, go and get your business done in the toilet, and then you can go.
I'm literally the same. I literally lay my socks, shoes downstairs. My bike is. I put the bike inside the house, in front of the door. Just go down, put my shoes on, and then eat and even my toast and like honey and knife is next to the toast as well. Like the bare minimum to do in the morning because I just can't be fucked.
That's exactly right, man. Bare minimum to do in the morning. You just do not want to be having a think in the morning at all. You just want to have it all ready. Yeah. So, Kana, I hope you change that habit, all right? Do it for me. Just one night, plan everything the night before. Do it.
I'll definitely give it a go. But, I mean, to be fair, it's not like I've been sacrificing sleep or anything. Like, the other day I got up at 5 o'clock so I could watch one of the World Cup games, and I still got like 8.5 hours sleep. got like a 96 sleep score or something. So I was pretty like, I'm not sacrificing sleep or anything. I am just probably
8.5
doing
hours is crazy.
It's not even necessarily just about like not sacrificing sleep, but it all compounds to the goal we're looking for is consistency, right? We're purely just trying to like achieve something with as much of a smile on our face so that we enjoy the process so that tomorrow we do the same thing again. It's not about like, I've got to get my 8 hours and it doesn't matter if I get up and then have to frantically get everything. It's just we're trying to build consistency. That is the goal of all the planning so that we can just be like, yep, I enjoyed that. And now I'm going to do it really well next time again and just keep stacking days on top of each other. That's what we're actually trying to achieve. Yeah. Cool. That is it, guys. I know that was like so far left field from Cadence, but I really think that's valuable for you boys, and a lot of people that will watch this back as well. I think will get a lot from that because, yeah, it's just. I mean, it's just something that it's taken me a long time to learn to do properly, and it's simple in theory but hard in practice. So, wicked. Happy Sunday, lads. I'll stop the recording there.